But that brings us to a very interesting game. Something that
We'll
was
come to
themed
it.
by you. The game is abort or not.
Alright.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna-
It's like a quick fire for doctors. Eh?
It's not a rapid fire. I'll give you a situation and I want you to answer that as this is happening with you.
Okay.
So,
Me as a person or
Yeah,
me as
yeah.
a medical professional?
no, you as like the person who's going through this. Like, what
Okay.
is your decision? Like, if you had the ultimate answer.
So am I a patient or am I a medical professional?
You're the person in the scenario. You're the patient. You're the
I'm
You're
the
the one
patient.
going
Okay.
through it.
the
Yeah.
I'm the one
patient,
going through
the
it.
patient,
Okay,
the partner, whoever the scenario
fair.
is.
Yeah.
Alright.
So the first one's for you, Veer.
Alright.
4 months into the pregnancy,
Okay, 4 months. Alright.
and things are finally starting to look good in your family after a long time.
I'm married to this woman.
Yes.
Again,
Let's
4 months is
clarify
how many
that
weeks?
first.
Let's calculate
I
that
need to
with
clarify
respect to
this,
the
man.
MTP Act.
Because there are so many sub-clarifications that I can make from this.
About
Okay,
16 weeks. 16, 17 weeks?
Can we
Yeah.
get back to the situation?
Yeah, sorry.
Because
yes.
I don't
you,
think
you said months, right? The Act provides weeks.
it's 4 into 4. That's 16 weeks.
16.
Oh, well,
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
before anything,
Around 17 weeks.
yeah, before anything, we need to get the months, the weeks in accordance, because if people are looking at this, pregnancy is calculated in lunar months. Okay. So
What
when
are
you look
lunar
at,
months?
lunar months have
28 days.
Oh.
They are not calculated
okay.
like us 31, 30.
Okay,
ऐसे
okay.
नहीं
So
calculate
4 months
them.
would be roughly
सही
16
बात है।
plus 1.
You're right.
So
Bachcha
when you look at
थोड़ी-
40
17
weeks,
Okay,
you
yeah.
can't be like, oh, that's a 10-month pregnancy.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way.
Obviously, बच्चा थोड़ी वहाँ पे कर रहा है हम January.
So we know that 9 months in layman language, we know that 9 months is 9 months, but in medical terms,
It's
it's
lunar
40
months.
weeks.
40
It's-
weeks.
It is calculated always in lunar weeks.
40
And,
weeks of pregnancy and then
Your
Raja Putra.
expected
So-
date of delivery would be 40 weeks from the day of conception.
So for expected date, also you have a formula. It's called the Nagel's formula. It is 9 months. Exactly plus 7 days minus 9 months. Sorry, how many? Minus 10 months, or something like that.
40 weeks. Let's just
Okay,
keep it
that-
general.
No, wait, I'll tell you this. I'm sorry. Man, because now I'm pediatrics.
You're
Yeah,
also
this is kind
pregnant.
of,
Just remember you're pregnant.
Your,
Abhi
your
to,
4
like,
means months
you have
plus.
to get
Yeah.
back to that.
What is it? Okay.
It's
fine.
okay.
Getting on.
Let's get it.
He's 4 months pregnant.
I'll-
Let's go ahead
okay.
with the question.
So-
Second trimester,
Will you
4 months
understand?
pregnant.
You're pregnant and like.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Alright.
wow, wow,
That's
wow.
the
Like
politically-
that's...
No, that is
Yeah,
the
4
politically
months.
correct thing
4
to say
months, yeah.
nowadays.
I'm
You're
pregnant.
supposed
Yeah,
to
I'm
say
pregnant.
we are pregnant.
We are pregnant. I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
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 So you're pregnant and 4 months into the pregnancy, everything's looking good. The family is coming on really well. Your parents, uncles, aunties, everybody who was dissing you for quite some time, now they are just looking forward to the day when they're going to have a drink at your place.
Right.
You find out your wife was cheating on you when the child was conceived. Would you abort or not?
I find out my wife is cheating on me, and I factually find out that she was cheating on me honestly since what kind of time? No, I let her go with the pregnancy and do a paternity test, man.
No, like,
So what happens when you get a paternity test and
Yeah.
let's
You
assume
still
that you're not
realize-
the father of the child? What then? Because now the baby's there,
Then I can. There are other legal provisions, no, for that.
for example.
I mean, tomorrow if that child is an illegitimate child committed out of adultery.
But it's born out of
Yeah.
that wedlock.
yeah,
so,
but
so like that. That's really silly then. Like, for example.
I think this is more of a divorce question
Yeah.
than an abortion question.
So,
right
you know,
now.
there was a
I
there was a petition in the
See, no,
Supreme
but-
Court.
No, but 1 minute, before anything else, she has had intercourse with another person.
yes.
Okay, that person has fertilized, and
The baby is that person.
You have
The
the
baby is that
you have the
person's.
final say.
the baby is that person's. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, he doesn't have the final say, but just for the
I
sake
don't
of the
have the-
question,
Yes.
we're going to say he
The
has
baby
the final
is that
say.
person's. That baby is not mine. This doesn't come under MTB at all.
I am saying that if it's
Because
your
the
final
baby's
say,
there, no,
would you
yeah.
abort or not? Like,
He's a
if,
very
if
nice
you could decide
person.
the fate of the child.
I would not do that because that is not my child.
But you don't know that. Let's assume you still don't know, and she's pregnant. Okay.
Okay.
So you'll still go ahead with the
That's
pregnancy.
more of an adultery related question than an MTV question. No?
No, but sure. So
They
as
just want to know
I
whether
think
you're a nice guy and they'll keep it.
Yeah.
Or I'm
Yeah.
like I said, man, if that's the way I found out that she cheated on me, and ultimately the woman is the conduit of the process of birth.
yeah,
She has the final say whether she wants to keep that child or not.
right, yeah, that's
Ultimately-
the answer you're looking for.
Ultimately,
So that's
if
like-
that child is born,
Yes.
मेरा नहीं
if that child is born, if it's my child or her child, I mean it's her child definitely,
Fix
1000%.
your mic.
Oh, sorry.
1000% it is her child. Is it mine or the other guy's? That's an adultery question later.
And so-
I will conduct a paternity
So
test to
that
see
will-
if it's mine,
And then only then you will take the call.
and then I'll take that call. Why
Interesting.
such legal provisions are given to me? Why can I not?
मेरा बच्चा ही नहीं है तो मैं क्यों बताऊं कि मैं किसके साथ क्या करना है नहीं करना है. बीवी लेकिन अपनी है.
Okay, so
it's her call.
like before you carry on with this game, I just wanted to step in and say that ठीक है, with respect to medical termination of pregnancy, we have it's a taboo in the society for married as well as unmarried women, and sometimes even the medical professionals take advantage of the situation. But even though the law allows a woman to take the call whether she would like to terminate the pregnancy or not, I would like to just give an example just to show that when people go to court to take permission of whether they'd like to terminate this pregnancy or not, and this example is after the amendment last year. This lady, she went right up to the Supreme Court where the pregnancy was a viable pregnancy, but her grievance was, I'm separated from my husband. And there have been instances of domestic violence. This is the second time I've been separated. There is allegedly there's demand for dowry. So I would like to terminate this child. Now we have to keep in mind that lawmakers, judges, doctors, they're all human beings. So in this case, the court told the lawyer that you should tell the mother to hear the heartbeat of the child and not to abort the pregnancy. And she was told to go away. She was told that you are going to regret this if you terminate this pregnancy and then you reconcile with your husband.
ये
So,
चोरी चुपके की script
When,
की
no,
consist
when,
लग
when
रही
was
है.
when
well,
did
I've
this
not
happen?
seen that.
When
movie.
did this happen?
This is 2021.
2021. Okay.
Yeah, so this
right
is
now.
this is 2021. So all I'm trying to say is that people who are making these calls, yes, we have liberal laws. Our country permits a woman to take a call whether she'd like to go for an abortion or not. This lady was over 24 weeks, and she decided that I would like to terminate this in view of the situation in my life, and I would probably want to end my marriage, or maybe I'm not in a state in my marriage to bear a child, and I'm probably 26, 28 weeks pregnant. The court told her, buddy, go back, have this child, and then if you have problems later, dekh lena. Life
I
ऐसी
thought I
चलती
was
है.
going to have come up with problematic situations and have a controversial answer, but reality is probably
मैंने काफी legal
more
research करी है ना.
problematic.
In your
India's a
life.
huge population, man. There are a lot of case permutations.
Yeah.
Diversity अच्छी
Yeah,
है.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you have all sorts. If you go to government hospital,
Yeah.
you're gonna have like a plethora of cases.
और मैं सिर्फ एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट की the most recent judgment that I found of the Supreme Court उसका example दे रही हूँ. The
कुणाल
number of
कामरा कह के गया था कहाँ मिलेगा इतना content.
But imagine, think of it. The Section 3 of the Act provides that you approach the court, and the number of times it has so happened that the lady approached the court in due time. By the time, and then her application was rejected. By the time she went to the High Court, it was beyond 20 or 24 weeks, depending on किस time पे she had approached the court, which time of the year.
yeah.
And she was denied. She was denied the right to abort. And I have read instances of women saying that I am a literate idiot, because it was not always a case where it was an unwanted pregnancy in the sense that she was not married, or it was legitimately a case where the child after being born would not survive. So this lady, I read her entire account. She approached the court. The Supreme Court said, sorry, nothing doing. You're beyond the period of time.
Yeah.
And we can't help you. The medical board says that, this termination could also be a threat to her life, and as much as this pregnancy is, and therefore in the end when she gave birth, it was a stillbirth. The child was not alive at the time, and she wanted to have a child. Both she and her husband wanted to have a child. She was just heartbroken, and she said that we are literate idiots to have thought हमें भी ऐसे किसी के पास जाके मतलब ऐसे करवा लेना चाहिए था. हम बेवकूफ़ थे that we came before the appropriate authorities. We thought we should follow due process of law. So let's face it.
You're also racing against time, because
Yes.
you have so many weeks left to childbirth or whatever, and then you also have the court. Like there is no provision, I think, which says that
There was
you
so
can
many-
fast track these
You
things.
can't, because there were so many cases where I read that the woman approached the court within time. अब फिर उसके
But
बाद
the pendency
कोर्ट नहीं
caused
बैठी.
the
Yeah.
24
Saturday,
to
Sunday
have
आ गया.
period to lapse.
Because women are,
Yeah.
are running against time. That's
Yeah.
the same thing that's
I
happening.
was reading about
in
this
Roe versus
really
Wade.
gruesome story.
In-
A girl in UP 14 years old and she was raped by a 17-year-old guy. Not 17, the guy was probably older.
It doesn't matter. Like, yeah,
The girl approached
whatever,
the
she's
court
raped.
instantly, and then the court denied at first, stating that the pendency has led to the lapse of the period, and then ultimately the girl was married off to the accused.
Courts have asked, and I'm saying courts ka matlab High Court and Supreme Courts have asked the lawyers, are you sure the lady in question is not married to the accused? Are you sure she does not want to be married to the accused and these are victims of rape?
So you're saying the Indian judicial system, the quick fix for a rape
Is to
scenario
get
is
married
marriage.
I'm saying that they're people who decide such cases, and people make mistakes.
None of you are gonna give like controversial statements.
No, before.
They'll have to edit and cut all of this out.
Let's see.
They'll have to get a lawyer
Can
for
we dial back
themselves.
to the
Yeah, I'm so
situation?
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he is going for a paternity test.
Yeah, I was going for paternity
He's
test.
going
I
for
said,
paternity.
yeah, okay, fine. Might not be my child, but okay, go to see. She gives birth to the child, and if the paternity test says that it's not my child, then I have, I think, solid grounds for divorce. And even if it is my child and she's cheating on me and I can prove that, I still have solid grounds for divorce. So.
The
So you
lawyers can
divorce
help
the
you.
lady.
But can I just
Basically, that's the whole point.
This has nothing to do with my.
can I just ask you a follow-up? Anshul, can I ask a follow-up question because I'm
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Yeah, please. So I'm asking you this question, following up as a lawyer and somebody who's like slightly aware of the how the courts work and someone who's gone through divorce. Would you want to really wait for the child to be born and then for a paternity
Yeah,
test
my question
to
too.
figure out whether you'd like to
She
take
can-
care of this child or not?
She ultimately MTP allows it on the basis of a woman saying that I want this abortion.
Right.
She can always abort that child on her behest. Why do I have to
No,
be that
your
with this?
views. Of course, you can't go for the abortion yourself
No,
because
that was my abort or not question.
We can't have a
guys.
paternity test before the child
Anshul.
is.
can you?
Right.
Guys, can we?
No, you can't. I mean, can you have a paternity test?
Yes.
wait.
You can.
think
I'm
so.
assuming yes.
Boston
Technically,
Legal
you
may
should be
remember
able to.
that
can.
girl was.
If you can get the DNA of that child, you should be able to run a paternity
Yeah.
test.
Before that, I want to ask you a abort or not question.
Sure.
Anshul. Okay. Now, suppose let's just hypothesize hypothetically. You are in a married relationship with your woman, and you guys are trying for children, and you guys have a child, and she conceives, and you're happy. They're going through conception. In the middle,
Naturally conceive हुआ है ना?
naturally, out of love, not out of wedlock, out of love. This child is yours. It's a planned pregnancy. Everything. Everyone's rooting for you. Yeah, Anshul. तुम्हारा अंकल ताऊ चाऊ सब कोई बड़े
आंसू
बोल
आ
रहे
गए
हैं
यार।
आपके बारे में हाँ
मैं
बोल
बाप
रही
बन
भाई
गया।
तू भी बाप बन रहा है बढ़िया है यार
100 बच्चे चाहिए तुझे सही में.
and yeah that's the way and then later probably you have an argument with your wife or you have something and you have like a little disagreement and then she's like I'm aborting this child okay
What do you do?
now what and mind you this is a child you guys both want
I love the fact कि कोई अंशु से क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
यार, I will ensure that I don't stop the dialogue to the point that an informed decisions about a planned parenthood goes to waste because of a stupid fight. One.
it's not a stupid fight
Maybe she's
the
reasoned
fight-
it out, in her head.
Yeah,
She
in her
knows
own
that
head.
she cannot be a
she's
mother
like,
right
I'm,
now.
I'm gonna abort this child. Screw this. I don't want it. What are you gonna do?
I'll try not getting rid of the child. I'll try my level best to not to have the child.
And how will you try that?
You're gonna mollycoddle. You're gonna like. She's decided, man. She doesn't want it.
It's her body. It's her choice. The act provides for her to go for the abortion. How are you going to try to stop her from this abortion?
I might not let that abortion happen.
How will you
How?
not let that abortion happen? That's my question. You can't sweet talk her into it.
Well, I'm not gonna sweet talk then.
What are you
But
Maybe
then,
the abortion is gonna
in this
happen.
entire scenario, my biggest question is, at the end of the day, you guys, having a child is just one aspect of it, right? You have to raise a child together. So if, as parents, you're not on the same bed about whether or not you want to be with that, like, isn't the bigger question not about whether you want to have the child, but about whether you want to be
Still
parents
together.
together to raise that child together?
So that parenthood, the decision to have a child was collective.
Was collective.
And
Yes.
I'm just saying, and I'm saying that at the point where because of a fight or anything of that sort, you choose to now go
But
back
she's
on a decision that
decided
was taken collectively.
she's decided midway that she doesn't want to do it. It's her body. She's
like,
bearing
"My
the baby.
body is my choice."
She's bearing the baby.
Okay, I'm going to
If-
ask one more sub question to this. So your point is
I am
that-
not getting my baby aborted because of a fight between the husband and
It's
wife.
not
But
Fine.
the
She's
baby
like,
is
"Yeah,
not in your
whatever."
womb. The baby is in your
No,
partner's
let's-
womb.
okay. So you basically trying to ask him.
I'm
if-
asking him. I'm not
if-
taking sides. Huh?
If she wants to still be with him but not have the baby for
Smriti,
whatever
the mic.
Yeah.
reason.
Smriti, the
Right.
mic.
Oh, sorry. So, like, she still wants to be with him but not be a mother.
Yeah, she doesn't
That
want
is the problem.
Yes.
Okay.
तगड़ी
But-
लड़ाई होने
No,
वाली
I'm
है.
not asking-
But that-
I'm not-
that is-
I'm not asking him
लड़ाई
anything.
तो होने वाली है
I'm
बट
just-
उस
I'm not
प्रेगनेंसी
asking
का
anything,
क्या होने वाला
guys, I'm
है
asking
कैसे
just-
रोकोगे
just-
तुम उसको टर्मिनेट करने से
यार ये थोड़ी ना
ये
भगवान
कोई
ने-
हिंदी मूवी थोड़ी कैसे रोकोगे तुम उसको dominate?
I'm a little filmy,
I
sorry.
think it all comes down to
That's
like
it, man.
having.
I'll go ahead. Have the writs filed. I'll have the doctors restrained. I'll
But
ensure.
I don't
sorry,
think
I'm
you
just
can
asking this
restrain.
question. Now I'm
Stuff like that.
I'm asking this
love
question.
it. I don't think you can do
Guys,
that.
I just want to ask
Legally
this question
to an
as a
order.
lawyer that how on what grounds are you going to file the writ? Like locus standi क्या है तुम्हारा? कैसे तुम बोल रहे हो कोर्ट को कि मेरी बात सुनो ना तुम्हारी?
I don't think that. Oh my god,
See,
this is
okay.
something I've never heard of.
No, yeah, because it's not possible.
When I'm having a child and it's a decision that we have taken collectively, and I'm taking full responsibility jointly as well as severally for the
But
child.
joint responsibility होनी थी ना तुम्हारी और तुम्हारे partner की.
I
Your
would
partner has
happily give
taken.
my partner the option that you don't want to carry the burden of having a fetus inside you. Sure, let's have a surrogate person and let's have it transplanted. That's an option.
No,
medically.
yeah, of course you have this
If
option.
that's an option,
always.
Right, yeah, that's an answer. Yes.
So I'll
fair.
do that.
Is
But-
that possible, guys? Like midway in the pregnancy, can you take the fetus
No,
out?
no,
and
you can't.
no, you can't.
No, you can't.
Okay,
You
so that's
start
not
the
an answer.
process
Sorry.
only.
You can't. That's what happened, right?
तो create करना पड़ेगा ये
Some
फिर.
one scandalous case just before we had this really famous actress. She was famous. Jia Khan, guys. Any of the guys? Yeah.
You really got me in a pickle.
Hey. So Jia Khan, she had an abortion with her so-called, and then that's what she stated in her.
Aditya Pancholi or somebody. Suraj Pancholi.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is that they went to a physician prior to 20 weeks. The abortion was incomplete. That means that they have to go to a higher order, to a MD gynec to get these things done. अभी भाई साहब ने सोचा कि भाई अगर मैं गायना के पास जाऊं, according to her statement, he extricated the fetus from her womb.
What do you mean extricate?
How did?
मतलब निकाल
I
दिया।
don't want to know
हाथ
this
डाल के।
actually.
अब वो जो भी कैसे मतलब
Let's not get into the details.
Yeah,
Now you're telling
I
me
don't want
that
to know.
Let your imagination run.
हाँ, this is what has happened. I mean, according to her statement,
But
a
she's
guy
no
like-
more. मतलब, okay, fine. I will talk
Sorry,
about
what?
it later. We'll talk about this later. Yeah.
I mean, whatever her
Yeah.
case, her statement. I'm not talking about if he had done it, he had not done it. But if we have a case like that, that's an unsafe abortion, man.
Yeah, that's why we have the MTP
That's
Act.
stupidity. For somebody with
And
that
that's-
kind of access
Access and
resorting
privilege.
to such levels, because honestly, hospitals in India do provide you with a level of anonymity that you can ask for. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, actually,
nobody
you
is
know what,
going
I'll
to.
actually have the child aborted if my wife wants it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm confused about it now.
So the case is, see, always when the legislature for MTP is, I wouldn't say perfect, it is very, very good. The highest, it has the highest percentile of being good. Yes, there are few things here and there. The thing is enforcement about, so basically when I was talking about the NFHS survey, so when in 2015 they had like a big crackdown on, so 56% of the abortions that were unsafe. Why did they happen? Is because of female gender.
Female feticide, female infanticides.
After 2015, the government had a heavy crackdown on this stuff. Heavy crackdown.
Yeah, there was this case in Sangli, if I remember.
Varda. I mean, there are many cases like that, man.
Yeah.
Many cases of people having rings, abortion, MTP
This guy was
rings.
running an illegal
rings.
racket
Yeah, there are
where
many
he used to
things.
determine the sex of the child, and if it was a girl,
Absolute.
then
Yes, there-
abortion.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if enforcement is not with the hands of the legislature, then तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. law will just look good on paper. The reason the Indian government cracked down on a lot of gender determination cases, that is why we had female infanticide becoming much lesser and safe abortions being much higher.
So we have proper legislation which prevents, which specifically
Yeah.
penalizes figuring what do you call it, preconception and prenatal
PTND.
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
right,
yes.
that's correct. So
Which
if
came out
any
in 94. So you see, like,
yeah,
from 71 till 94, there was an open area for medical professionals
fair, but
to determine the sex of the child.
See, that is the there's this time difference because IPC provided that any
312.
person, 312, section 312, and there are certain provisions of the IPC which said that any medical professional or even the woman who's causing the pregnancy who's quick with child, who's basically bearing a child and is causing a miscarriage, it could be by the doctors, by the family, or by the woman herself, they were penally liable for this. This continues to be an act of crime. So when MTP Act came, tab to the other side of the society was like, "Ki, arey, we have the IPC. Why do you need medical termination of pregnancy?" So that's why the legislation has said that IPC specifically says that if a woman miscarries, even she is responsible. उसकी भी गलती है जो United States में आज हो रहा है वो हम उस time पे भी थे, which is why we have the act, because the act kind of gave an exception that keeping in view the physical and mental health of the woman, whether she's raped, whether she's of sound mind, which is why we got that. And then in the 90s we have the preconception and prenatal
Sex determination.
yeah, which prohibits any medical professional who's qualified to determine whether the fetus is a male or female. Therefore, like in our country, दूसरे countries में you know whether you're going to have a
It's
boy
a
or a
confusing
girl.
situation because you've seen, like, we've asked 2 questions on abort or not, and both of us have been confused. And
No, I was
I'm
pretty,
sure
I was pretty
those are
straightforward with my
real-
answer.
Yeah, I
One
think
of
he was
the-
quite
I was pretty
sure.
straightforward with
You
my
changed your answer.
No, but
I
I'm
am
telling you,
confused, I'm gonna be honest
this is
about it.
also an exception to the rule than the rule. Like most of the 90% of the cases that we come across on a day-to-day basis, people are extremely sure about the fact whether or not they want to abort or not abort. And the question is more about how to go from there. I
Yeah.
want to abort. What are my options? What physically, financially, resource-wise, all of those are more of a practical issue than whether or not whether the husband's on board or the family is on board
So
and
this
stuff like
So
that.
Smriti's practically, like I'd asked earlier, if a lady is in Delhi and she wants to go for an abortion,
So-
chemical and surgical, what are the charges that she'll have to...
Chemical
क्या
surgery
है?
ऐसे नहीं होती है. It is chemical to a certain duration and after that it becomes surgical.
Fair,
No,
but
not
I'm just...
necessarily. Yes, he's right in a
It
way.
may be
Early
in certain-
stages,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But in most cases, a lot of people take some time to get used to the fact that they're pregnant, then get to the point that they actually... There's a lot of time lapse between finding out you're pregnant and finding out you don't want the baby and going,
then going for the
making
termination.
decision that I want to see a gynac and get an MTP.
Right.
So in Delhi, the thing is, we have enough number of government healthcare centers. All government healthcare centers are free. You can walk up to a gynac department, any of these, state your reason for not wanting the pregnancy. It has to come under purview. Most of the, it's such a, you can say, wide law that almost every reason comes into it. Like you said, emotional, physical, as well as just failure of contraception.
Okay.
And then you can go ahead with it. Looking at your medical condition and the stage that you're in your pregnancy and your health condition, the gynac will tell you whether or not you can go for a medical or a surgical. Medical is preferred in the initial days, like I said.
Medical is the pills.
Yeah, the pills.
Yeah.
And that's a home-based thing. And there are serial follow-ups and checkups that you need to do.
Right.
That will be explained to you. You stick to that, get it done. It's not very expensive.
And how much?
The drugs would be like, I think, even lesser than 1,000 rupees.
Right.
Right.
And
But-
and the consultation is free and the drugs are less than
Less
1,000
than. And if
rupees.
you're going to a
And for
government
surgery-
center, like even the ultrasound and all will be free. The only thing is, of course, you have to bear with the crowd, the hospital, everything. The waiting times are huge and all
वो
of that.
hospital पे
So-
depend करेगा, I believe.
हाँ, गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल में जा
Government
रहे हो,
hospital is the
भीड़
same
तो
everywhere.
मिलेगी तुम्हें, तो वो सब रहेगा. But it can be done. It's available. You can access it if finance is an issue.
And
You can walk
surgical.
up to a corporate hospital or a private hospital which is big enough, has a running gynac segment. You can get again the same procedure. If for whatever reason you have to go for a suction evacuation or a dilatation and curettage,
which is a
Yeah,
surgery.
yeah,
DNC.
Oh guys, by the
Yeah,
way,
ये
by the
चीजें
way,
बता दो ना.
before anything else,
But
I
guys,
would like to say-
I would still like to know how much would it cost a woman to
उसको
get
एक बार
So
पैसा
again,
दो.
पैसा
400,
बताओ.
500 rupees for an MTP kit, I guess.
Okay.
Before that, I wanted to say for all the pro-life guys who are sitting watching, a DNC and a manual vacuum aspiration, that's an MVA.
That is surgery.
Yes.
भाई क्या होता
Do you
है
know
पहले ये
what
बता
these
दो।
Yeah, you
cases
talk
are?
to-
Guys, so basically they dilate the cervix and they put a curette, which is a surgical instrument, and they chop up the fetus
Can you
inside.
Oh.
He's just exaggerating. It's nothing like that.
Thank
They
you.
basically, he's just making it sound worse than it is. It's
That's
a very
not
quick procedure.
Yeah, it is very
You
quick
go
procedure.
in. It's a daycare procedure. You go in. It's like something like they go in, like you said, dilate the cervix and clean out your endometrium, which is basically like scraping it a
All
little
the
bit,
remnants of,
and all the remnants come
fetal
out. So
थोड़ा
bas-
नॉर्मल भाषा में
हाँ
बताओ।
मतलब किसी
No,
तुम
but
जाओगे
doctor साहब,
थोड़ा सा सफाई करोगे बाहर निकल आओगे कोई काटा पीटी नहीं है कोई मेजर
But doctor
सर्जरी
साहब,
नहीं है
you have to ask. Okay, like,
No, but you
before
know,
they
I'm
take it-
talking about from the point of view of an 18-year-old girl who just realized she's
See,
pregnant.
it's whatever you go through, it's an emotionally taxing procedure.
Of course.
Whatever you go through, okay?
Yeah.
वापस आ जाएं एक सिचुएशन
It's a biologically taxing procedure.
But I still don't know how much a
Okay.
surgical procedure costs for a woman in
So
Delhi.
it will
BSc
depend
that.
in the hospital you're going. In a place like Delhi, it can vary from something like a 15K for a surgical procedure to a 50K depending on where you're going.
Right.
Okay.
So-
and yeah,
15
if
से
there are
50,000
हाँ 15 से आराम से हो गया एक दिन में घर भेज दिया कम खर्चा होगा कॉम्प्लिकेशंस होंगे ज़्यादा खर्चा होगा गवर्नमेंट सेटअप्स स्टिल इट्स टू क्वाइट सम एक्सटेंट इट्स फ्री
So, if I have to sum up this particular aspect, if one is going for the chemical procedure to terminate the pregnancy, which is basically taking pills, it's less than $1,000.
1,000
मैं government
be,
hospitals
yeah.
की बात कर रही हूँ.
हाँ.
And if it is a surgical procedure, then it is going to vary something between 15 to
15,000
50,000. Let's keep that in mind.
yes that is
Yeah.
my rough estimation
And it's a day procedure, even if it's surgical.
if it's simple,
everything
nothing goes wrong it's a day procedure again everyone can have complications like he said incomplete abortions all of that follow up ultrasounds that will all add to the cost 2 दिन 3 दिन कभी कभी लग सकते हैं लोगों के साथ basic point is in a place like Delhi you can still access a gynecologist very easily in a government hospital and they will explain everything to you and how to go about it in a very very healthy way basically.
Thanks a lot, Smriti. I will
किसी
stop
को abortion
interrupting
कराना है तो काल करे
everyone.
सो आज करे सो अब पल में पल ले होगी 50,000 लगेंगे तब Niharika, the next aborter not to you. You went to Mumbai and you certainly did not make your career in Bollywood. Money forced you to take up surrogacy. So this couple comes in, they make a contract with you. And now you're bearing the baby. 3 months into the pregnancy, it gets figured out that the child has Down syndrome.
Okay.
The biological parents say that we don't want this child and we want you to get it aborted. We have absolutely no responsibility towards it. What would you do? Would you abort or not?
Abort. Because this is a case of surrogacy. I'm doing this for somebody for consideration. So if the parents don't want to take ownership of the child and I'm here just to bear the child, why should I take care of
renting
it for
your
the rest
womb,
of its life?
Is and Down syndrome you'll always get an MTB. Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting such a clear answer from Nihal. It was
Very,
like
very
dark.
Yeah.
Khatam,
Abort,
like.
bhai, abort.
The surrogacy is a totally different topic altogether. उसके बारे
Down
में कभी
syndrome
और बात करेंगे.
is absolute viable abortion. Absolutely. There are no two ways about it.
Yeah, but like I just wanted to know, like, would she
Even
bear
if
the
a
child?
surrogate,
Or
now if you had to frame the question this way, that even the surrogate parents are okay with having a Down syndrome child.
no,
No,
they
they were
weren't.
not.
They
They were
weren't.
No, but my little amendment to the question is that they're okay with having a Down syndrome child. Now, suppose they're like a tourist couple from some privileged part of USA or some parts of Europe, and they're like, yeah, okay, fine, we'll have a Down syndrome child.
But see, you know, like we'll
Through
have to then
surrogacy.
look at our current laws on surrogacy, which
Yeah.
I think is again
Yeah,
a
but
topic
surrogacy is
for
another thing. So
Another
you can't
podcast.
really mix up
Yeah.
these questions.
Thanks for letting us know. We need to do
You're
a
welcome,
podcast on
but
surrogacy.
from our point of view, MTP with Down syndrome can be aborted at 20,
But you know,
24 as well.
if I had to answer the modified question, if the parents were willing to parent and take care of a child who had a Down syndrome, I would just consider what are my options as a surrogate mother who's carrying the child, as you know how the medical procedure of the delivery is going to be, how the pregnancy is going to be. For me, if it's going to be like any other
It's the
pregnancy,
same. It's
I
the
would
same.
Yeah, then I would go ahead with it, give birth, and the parents can take take over, and they can have their baby.
So
and
before we were speaking about all this, I'm happy that he actually put a question on Down syndrome in it. There are a lot of other genetic syndromes that can be detected prior to conception, and India thankfully has the rules for you to abort that child. Now the thing is, Down syndrome or any other genetic syndrome. So reproductive ages in women are also very, 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 very important. And this is not about abortion or NTP or anything. This is just about women's reproductive health. After you're 30, 31, 32, the chances of genetic abnormalities are much, much higher than when you were probably in your 20s. It is not, I'm not going to say that, oh, because you're post 30, you're going to have a child who has done. No.
No.
The rate at the biological rate at which these consequences happen are much, much higher.
Much higher.
That's
thank
all
you
I
for
have to say.
addressing this. I had this question. It was gonna pop up like eventually during the
So you basically nowadays, as part of your regular ANC, have
ANC.
checkups.
Sorry, what is
So
Antenatal
antenatal care,
checkups.
it requires even for a regular pregnancy for you to get registered with a particular hospital as early as your first trimester, and at every level you have specific number of scans through your pregnancy, as well as certain tests which are offered to you. So where you can, most of these scans are basically aimed at detecting whether or not your child is healthy, whether there are any congenital abnormalities which are being formed, and if you are suspecting something on basis of the scan, you can confirm it with certain tests like amniocentesis and all of that. Again, specific terms I know, but
Yeah,
basically
I was about to say,
you don't need to
ये
know.
क्या
doctor
है?
की-
सब क्या है?
उधर
क्या
direct
है?
clinic
ये
आ
क्या
गया।
है?
वो हम संभालेंगे
हाँ,
वो हम संभालेंगे
the bottom line is, through your ANC checkup, there are protocols laid down to detect whether or not the child has some congenital abnormality.
Also, I have a question with respect to determining the gender of the child. How many weeks into the pregnancy can a radiologist actually figure out whether it's a boy or it's a girl? Because here the MTP Act puts a cap of 20.
You can't at all tell at any point of time. It's
Okay.
criminal. You can lose your
No,
license.
no.
But I
I'm
believe
not
you do
but
get to know in the
biologically-
ultrasound.
No, but the
like,
doctor knows, right? The doctor
yeah,
can
yeah.
see
Yeah,
and
of course.
they know. So I just
I
want
believe ultrasound की picture भी जो देने होते हैं, you have to like position it in a certain way so that
No.
the genitalia is not exposed in the print.
So the
if I'm
only
not wrong,
reason why I'm
You'll have to ask
asking
a radiologist for that, but for a matter, okay.
no.
Going ahead.
Carry on.
Tell.
No,
Speak.
the only reason why I want to
Get a
know
better
when is
understanding
it
of
that a radiologist can figure out whether this is going to be a boy or girl, because there's a cap of 20 or 24 weeks as per the act.
So,
And things happen under the table. So I just out of curiosity, when
You
does
can know it before.
when does the genitalia start showing up in the fetus?
when can you figure out whether the gender of
so
the fetus?
from the so let's get embryogenesis, and from probably 11th week it is a stub, okay, like a urogenital stub.
Okay.
Probably progressing towards 14 till 20th,
You can
you
get an
will
idea.
definitely understand a
Whether it's gonna be
radiologist.
a-
Yeah, so from the 11th week, the urogenitalia starts to develop.
Right.
Depending on the radiologist you go to or whatever, and depending on his experience, there are many other miscellaneous factors that determine. Until the 14th till 20th, you know exactly what kind of kid you're going to have, man.
Right.
Yeah, and that
Hope-
is something that has been absolutely been enforced. That is something by the executive branch.
That's
of
a
our
very,
system.
very, very strict rule when you're practicing medicine.
Wow.
Bringing
you
out,
cannot
yeah,
Gender
if,
di-
if
gender,
there is even,
yeah, you will have your license suspended.
Yes.
For a
Very
and
strict law.
In your experience, both of you, have you come across instances where the parents wanted to know?
Yeah.
Can you just tell us, like whether it's going to be a boy or a girl?
Yes.
You've
We
had.
have-
Yes,
yes.
yes.
And are they just trying to slide it off by saying that please, like we're okay if it's a girl, like we just want to
No.
know.
No.
Yeah, no, so they will ask, but it's a very strict law. Like he said, currently the enforcement of this particular law is so strict that if there is a 10% chance there's an accusation that you basically could have told the parents the gender of the child, you can lose your medical license.
Absolutely.
So in the current scenario, I really doubt anyone is going
No medical
to
practitioner in
will
his
ever take
right
this
mind,
chance.
even with family, even including someone you know, like see now, there are thousands, millions of cases where I'm a radiologist, and I know a lot of people. Would I tell them in their ear? That's a personal thing, man. That's upon the radiologist. But if
Officially in a report, no.
Officially, if that person even had to tell that someone in full confidence that I had this is a boy, and that person aborts that child, knowing that तुम्हारा रेडियोलॉजी का लाइसेंस गया भाई, और जो बंदा रेडियोलॉजी लेता है इस देश में भाई, he will never try to give up his radiology is one of the top.
There are grey zones every time in life.
Of course.
You can't speak for everyone in the fraternity.
Like I said, people are human beings.
Depends on
Absolutely.
where you're practicing, how strong the law is, blah blah blah. What is the
Yeah.
social pressure on you, X Y Z. But general the law, the practice is such that
You
nobody
cannot
will
do
do
that.
In
And
India, they're quite strict.
That is the reason why from 2015 till 2020, when that NFHS survey was made, female infanticide has
Drastically reduced.
drastically reduced. Why? Because enforcement was such.
Right.
And see, you might have a legislature on paper, but as long as there's no enforcement, उसका
कोई
कुछ नहीं
फायदा
होने
नहीं
वाला.
है. That's true.
And these are the cases in not only in medicine but in all aspects of law. All of them. Rape देखो, कुछ भी देखो, आप murder, कुछ भी देखो.
As long
If
as
enforcement is not given at time, justice is not delivered at time, तो let's say क्या फायदा है?
क्या
right?
फायदा?
And it works the same for us as well. We have nothing to say.
Well, I agree to that totally.
I would be very happy, in fact, if our society kind of advanced to that level where we could actually tell them that, you're having a boy or a girl, but unfortunately in our century today in this land, we can't take that risk.
Well, it's
I
becoming
think
better.
given our society,
It's becoming
it's
better.
yeah.
It's becoming better. It is becoming better, but it
The
has
law
not,
prohibits the.
yeah, it has
yeah.
not given us that that we are not satisfied yet with that approach.
Well, let's hope the future holds something good for tomorrow.
I mean,
इंडिया में भी लोग जेंडर रिवील पार्टीज होस्ट कर पाए
yeah, I mean, I
केक
wish,
कट के करके
but
पता
then,
कर पाए कि लड़का है या लड़की.
that's
इंडिया में
like
बहुत
this-
parties होते हैं already.
That's just like how we dream of. We could have gender reveal parties the same way. I'm sure the Americans would dream of having an abortion.
I
You know, I
accuse
also,
Americans
when
of
I'm-
being genderists.
When I'm joking about a gender reveal party, I'm totally disregarding a complete section of the society which just wants
Absolutely.
to know
Yes.
the sex of the fetus just so they can, decide whether to continue with the pregnancy or not. And by people, I don't mean the mother. No, don't always mean necessarily
Not
include
only
the
are you
mother.
undermining them as this is the majority.
Right.
We
This is the
are a
majority.
minority.
That's
you
true.
have to understand
Yeah,
that.
that's
कि
fair.
आप अगर if I have to tell you tomorrow that Yanisi साहब, you are having a girl tomorrow, you might abort it later, but in a little confidence, I know you will not. I know as a person, on a humane इंसानियत के तौर पर.
Right.
But man, you make nothing of the fraction of
Right.
what determines government
Absolutely.
hospitals.
I completely agree. I don't think we should allow
In
our
fact,
country
that's another
to-
question I wanted to ask. When
Yeah.
is the last time you went to government hospital, Anshul?
I think last month.
For what?
For a COVID vaccine.
No. So I go to the courts, and courts have
Okay.
government
Yanisi, when
dispensaries.
is the last time you went to the government hospital? A therapeutic experience.
Which
probably
is-
like 20 years ago. Yeah.
You've never seen it now?
I've
No,
seen
not
it. It's
20,
gotten
maybe
really
like-
better.
But like a long time ago, probably a decade
It's gotten
ago.
good. It's gotten good.
I mean, the facilities have changed.
Changed.
I mean, the technology has worked, but you have not exactly been to a government hospital. If you could say it had become better.
ओके अब मैं गया था 2 साल पहले और तब मैंने देखा था कि तब गलत सीन
So
है.
when you ask us as medical practitioners, the panel that we are sitting right now, we are talking about government service or civilian service. People like us, okay, and I don't want to say this, but yes, we have socioeconomic status. I've
We
never
are-
seen people like us come into a government hospital, and I can write that as
We are a
हाँ,
very
मैं-
privileged class. There's no doubt about it.
There's no doubt. मैं एम्स
But that is for another discussion.
Aims-
Honestly,
Yeah.
having worked in all kind of setups that India has currently, India's medical care provides you with like the option, depending on your economic capacity, to
Capacity.
go wherever you want to, and in case for whatever reason you can't afford it, it does provide you with very good government hospitals with the best of services
Yes.
available to you. The downside would be, yes, you'll have to pay in terms of time, in terms of the kind of quality of services you get, not medical quality.
The mahal.
The mahal. You'll have to be in a general ward. You'll have to deal with the dirt and the worst. It's like if you're in a Bombay, traveling by a local train, even though you can, afford a cab, traveling by a local train is something that everyone has to do. But it's not like
Something that you want to do.
yeah, exact. Like if you do have the option, maybe you'll travel by a cab. But there is an option to get from point A to point B by a local
Yes.
train. Similarly, India's medical setup at current days, like this is for another time, but NHS, US, Singapore, best of places. Like I have friends who fly down to India for a dental checkup, get a dental filling done, go back to Singapore, and it's cheaper than what it cost them for one visit to a dentist. over
Including the
there.
flight and
And going
back,
back.
yeah.
Yeah. So, like, there is cost involved in medical care, and the beauty of the Indian setup at this point of time is you have options. You have the choice to go wherever you want to. At
truly
whatever level.
democratic.
है
Truly democratic.
चलो वापस आ जाते हैं अब
Abortion.
हाँ जी.
abortion
Roe,
पे।
Roe versus
एक
Wade.
एक abort or not का last situation बचा नहीं second last बचा है
You've asked everyone a question. You haven't
yes
asked.
that's why so as a part of the planned family planning you decided that now it's time you should have a kid. Things were good, but in the 5th month of the pregnancy you lost everything. You lose your house, you lose your job, you can't even fend for yourself properly. Would you abort or not?
Okay. Fair question. Firstly, 5th month, if it's past 20 weeks, in all probability, I can't for this reason, medically and legally speaking. Say it's less than 20 weeks.
24 now.
24. Okay, fine, push it
No, but you
24.
still can. Because if, like you said, it is like what did you the case was. कि
This will
आपको-
qualify for mentally unstable,
No,
right?
he said emergency.
Financially ruined.
You're
Yeah.
ruined. Okay, financially ruined.
So financial.
don't have
like
any-
on an emergency case, they still give it up. They still let it happen.
No, not for this reason.
Not, but if
Someone
you are
has to sign off to say that yes, I'm in an emotionally unstable state to not carry forward, which honestly speaking, I don't think anybody in the medical fraternity will sign off for this reason. This is a very, very individualized.
That's why I'm asking you.
Very okay. So if
Very
it's coming
specific
down to me, it's between me and my partner and what we believe we can bring. It's not like we can't. It depends on what is affordability. In my case, I will not. In my
Right.
case, I will not. Because at the end of the day, for me, the family definition of a family also means me, my husband, the child, and the kind of environment. I'm sure there is something we will figure out, even if we have lost something right now.
That's called the spirit of being
Yeah.
human. The next abort or not for you.
Yeah, come on. Chalo, I choose or. बताएं.
I'm scared about this one.
Like reverse Uno आ जाएगा इस पे.
Yeah. So your wife gets raped.
Wow.
I like how the nicest question was for me, and all the,
Oh yeah,
all
the
these
worst,
questions
the
are for
horrendous,
him.
most, yeah. Okay,
He's
my
like,
wife gets
Horrible
raped. Okay.
scenarios are just directed
Chalo,
to
ठीक
the
है.
person here.
My wife gets raped. Okay, fine. Yes, tell me.
She wants to
scarred
keep,
now.
She wants to keep the child.
She wants to keep the child. Wow. Okay. Tell me then.
Abort or not.
Abort or not.
She wants to keep the child. I understand the law, and I personally would want to abort the child because she was raped, but ultimately she is the conduit of birth, and she has the ultimate right. Things in life are unfair, and if she wishes to have it, then so be it. There's nothing that I can do to stop it. She wants to have the child. Okay, but then we'll have some marital problems later. Not her birthing children. That's a cultural issue. Not a cultural issue, sorry. It's more like a familial issue, like a personal, interpersonal relationship with her. So it was like, she's raped by a person. And I'm like, dude, if she'd want to abort it, considering that I have chosen my partner and I understand his sensibility, I'm sure she'd want to abort it. But if she says no, I don't want to abort the child that I have conceived by my rapist. I think there are further more problems than aborting the child, man. Aborting the child is just like the tip of the iceberg.
तेरी बातों में औरतों का दर्जा सुन
But
के
you know,
even I would say कि I'd let my wife decide
No,
to
but
that
ultimately, the rule has to be as such because the woman is the conduit of conception. Whether you like it or not, that is the law of nature. And if you argue with the laws of nature, then you are stupid.
The woman is the conduit of the conception.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a little
That's-
undermining, according
Yeah.
to me.
How is it undermining? She is the vessel of. She is going to.
She's bearing.
I
She's
think
bearing
this
the
is where the problem lies. I'm like, no offense to you, but
Smriti,
like,
the mic.
Mike.
sorry, I think this is where the problem lies, where
would you abort or
the
not? चलो आपको पोस्ट करते हैं यही क्वेश्चन एंड यू आर अ डूड एंड योर
I think it see again.
आप क्या करते हैं?
For me, a lot of things would be about having an open, honest conversation with my partner about how he is feeling, taking that into consideration, and also the future into consideration about this child coming to the world, whether I will be in an emotional place where I would be able to love and provide for the child. Okay, different women have different needs.
No, I'm
okay?
not. The question is absolutely parallel to you.
Yes, but
Okay.
reducing them to conduit of conception is something which is, I feel, a little
I'm not
little
redu-
sexist in my
Okay.
opinion. Like
you
I
can,
mean,
you can call it sexist or not, but the fact of the matter lies that ultimately she is going to bear the child.
yes, she's going to
Huh.
bear the child. She's going to be responsible for bringing up the child.
No,
she's going
she
to
doesn't
be.
have to be responsible for bringing up the child.
See,
That's my question. So
you
she
both-
can
okay, fine.
birth. She can birth the human because she has the organs to do so. Upbringing of the child
Will
is
be
another
both
legal
of
matter.
you. Will
It's
be
another legal matter.
both
no,
of
I will
you.
not take up my rapist child, man.
So yes, that's
Come on.
exactly. You're entitled to
Ridiculous.
that opinion. The woman is entitled to the opinion of whether or not she emotionally feels whether the child can be loved or not loved by her after she births it.
Right.
Whether she's going to hold the child responsible for a traumatic experience that she's had in her life,
Right.
and always be reminded of that, and hence not be able to be a proper mother. But that's a very, very, I think, a deep, intricate conversation which two people need to have. You can't say as a father that she is the conduit of the thing. I think it'll be more about her emotional state than her physical state.
But if it
whether or
was an
not she
emotional
wants to be.
state,
You
if
know,
it
I
was
also
an-
feel that if a woman if we are calling the woman as the conduit of conception,
Yes.
then I think the decision whether she'd like to continue with that pregnancy or not should lie with her.
It does lie with her. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was saying.
But then in this particular example that Anshul has, I'm just thinking of it from somebody's point of view who's gone through something so traumatic, and she's at a point in her life where she realizes that okay, I may have conceived, so now what? I think maybe I should just keep the baby, and I have a family, I have a husband, let's just raise the baby. So I think it calls for much more than
I don't
just
think any husband would be okay with that, man.
no, I don't think any husband who's in a situation like that would just be able to decide like that. Because then you have
Yes,
to
that's
understand
true.
the psyche
Okay.
of your partner. She's gone through something so traumatic. She's so messed up in her head that she wants to keep this child. And there is so much more than what meets the eye. You know, you have to understand that somebody who's gone through something like that and is
Yeah.
still ready to keep that baby. To call it a baby.
She can get a medal from the Sarkar, man, for something like that.
No.
But, for me, no. I'm not going to
Yeah,
sit
sure.
for this.
Sure,
Absolutely not.
fair.
So you can choose to
You can-
not be a father to that
Yeah.
child.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
believe.
Yes.
Yes.
But-
and I can
but-
also file for, I'm sure legal provisions
Yes.
are such, right, that I
Yeah.
can actually
Yes,
ask
yes,
for
that
separation.
is
right?
your choice.
Yeah, and I don't think I should be also.
Yeah, no one can force the decision of being a father to that child on you,
Yeah.
even if you're married to that person. I don't know what the legal implications
No,
are,
you-
but logically speaking,
I
The-
can,
the
they
mic.
can ask for divorce.
No,
It's a
see,
But-
yeah. You see, something like this, legally speaking, that there's going to be so much more involved in this.
Repercussions,
There's,
yeah.
there's so much more. Like, then the question will be, who is actually the father of the child? How is she sure that this is a product of rape? And you know, the sad reality of our country is that most of the cases which end up in the courts where the woman is asking to terminate the pregnancy are results of rape.
That is because enforcement is an issue. Always.
No, still no. It's not about enforcement. It's not at all about enforcement. It's about the trauma that the person has gone through, and then realize maybe later on beyond the 20 or 24 weeks period, and then realize, oh shit, I'm probably carrying.
Are you trying to tell me that a mother would bear an offspring of something that was inconceivable to her?
I'm not that person who's
Yes.
feeling like that, but a person
put
can
it in
feel
a
like
yes
that,
or
you know,
no.
like she's already
Yes.
going through
Yes.
Yes.
something so
Fair
traumatic,
enough, man.
she
Then
might just
I
want
can
to do
also
that.
choose. Yeah, then
Yes.
I
Of
also
course,
have,
of course.
Then I have the paternal right to choose, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether I
So
would
that's
like to
what
be
it
with a
boils
partner or
down
something
to.
like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So people evolve through their marriages, through their relationship with a particular partner, and they
We
can
perhaps
realize
little
that.
light on the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah, they can realize through the relationship for various reasons that the person
Yeah.
is not who they thought that the
They
person
were-
was. And a lot of
yeah.
time you make decisions which you never thought you would till the time you're actually faced with
Making
that
them,
decision.
yeah.
So if a woman decides to do that at that point of time, there is going to be a conversation around it. There's going to be reactions to it from her family, from
And
her
the
husband, from her
conversation
partner.
is not just going to be with the husband, it's also going to be with the family. It's probably also going to be with her therapist and like so many people
so many other
involved.
people
Man,
involved.
you give me the statistics of women who have been raped with a partner. With a healthy partner. No, I'm not talking about.
I think
Bye-bye
it's
partner.
unfair at some ground to assume that since a person who had a previous such experience decided to go with a particular decision of keeping or not keeping
It's
a baby
not-
in some particular court is the same decision that can be applied to another woman
person, yeah.
10 years later, 5 years later, exactly.
I'm just saying that
I
as a
think
partner.
it's a very personal decision.
Yes.
It really depends on the state of mind of that person, and given the history of the society in such cases, mostly ऐसे cases में औरतों को of
don't
unsound
think-
mind
I
declare
don't
करने की
think
कोशिश की
women-
जाती है.
Women in consummated relationships with their husbands, proper marriage, who have loved and are in love, who are raped by another person, choose to keep that child. I think that's
That is also assumption.
that's
Yeah, that is an
okay.
assumption.
That's an
Yeah.
absolute fringe.
That is an assumption.
That's an absolute fringe.
I
You know, like, I think I would
don't-
say,
yeah.
like-
I will not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be
Yeah.
part of this. I don't think guys will also be part. I don't think. Firstly, I don't think women will be part of this, man.
Okay, again.
don't think you can speak
again,
on behalf
yeah,
of
like that is the
women.
biggest thing.
ठीक है,
right
okay,
now.
I said that's why I said I don't think. I didn't say that I don't.
You
Women
did.
will not be
Yes,
part of
you
this.
did.
It's not. I said I don't
Yes,
think.
yes, yes. You pretty much did that. You
I
pretty
don't
much
think.
did
I
that.
said I don't think women will be part of this. I
Yes.
never said that women will be part of this. There's a difference between thinking
So
and
the
allowing for
best
personal
way
will.
to go about it would be to say to each his own. People will have the choice, and
No, but
as
if you
a
allow something like to each his own, now I'll give you an abort or not question.
yeah.
You give me that same question.
No, fair enough. Yes, let's go for
Chalo,
this.
Anshul Saab. Unfortunately, tomorrow, God forbid. Okay? That is. Your lady, unfortunately, has been raped tomorrow. Okay? And she decides to keep the child. What are you going to say?
I think I've had a turn of events rushing through my mind ever since I answered the last Abort or not. I think women have been suppressed and rather been regressed against for the longest period of time, because of which their emotional quotient is much higher than men, and I think they're far more superior in matters of being subjectively in matters where you have to subjectively go through so much stuff and emotionally process all of
Fine.
that,
You're
that I will go
digressing.
with the women.
He wants a yes or a no as an answer.
You're digressing the point.
If my wife wants to keep it, I think
Yes.
I'll be happy.
Even if you didn't want to keep the child, you have nothing to say about it. You cannot say anything about it. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying.
फिर उसके बाद ना then there's another question whether that relationship continues or not.
Yes.
But I don't think that
Yeah, so that's
that goes
exactly
on.
what I said, right? Like
Also
she can
the
have if she
second-
chooses. So ultimately, she's the conduit. She chooses whether she wants to have the delivery or not, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I said. And if she does, then post delivery, I can have my own stance for divorce,
Yes.
my own transfer.
Yeah,
That's what I
but you
said.
know, I just want to say that we should also understand
calling
that
a woman a conduit for conception is not genderism
No,
or not sexism. It is the truth. I cannot conceive a child.
Let's not use
I
that term.
don't
I
think
don't know
I'm-
why I
yeah,
find
very-
that
yeah, we're not very
term a
Conduit,
little like,
okay,
yeah.
man. people have problems with terms all the time, but that does not separate it from the reality of what the situation
But
is.
neither
right?
the law
Chalo,
says
okay, fine.
categorize
I'll replace
Using a father to nothing more than just like the
कि
financial
कुछ कम
provider
नहीं है,
of the
हाँ,
house.
मतलब like he's just
Like
there.
he's got no
You're
emotional
actually
relationship
diminishing.
with
No,
the
no,
child,
no.
but just the financial.
A father
provider.
has no biological. See, that's.
How can
that
you
is
say
not
that?
True. That is
X
not true.
chromosome, Y chromosome.
See, man, women are they are employed with reproductive systems that can, if men had the same virtue, then they would do that, right? Women have it. It's a specific, very special term to ladies, right?
Right.
That's why we have obstetrics and gynecology,
Right.
right? There's a specific, special subject that we can master in obstetrics and gynecology. For us, andrology is another subset of urology, guys. Just so all you know.
Are you feeling bad about that?
I'm not feeling bad about it. I'm not feeling bad about it at all. I understand what nature is. I don't go against the laws of nature. I know for a
Yeah.
fact that a woman can only give birth. There is no other fucking way about it or not. I cannot give birth. Neither can Mr. Chaudhary give birth here. Can you?
That's Anshul.
I wish.
Do you,
You
want
wish?
to? Do you?
I don't wish that.
Did you
I
wish,
don't want to.
Did you ever
You can
wish
have the
ki,
last say, man.
"Kash, I wish I could bear a child and then give
I
birth
think
and
the
have periods
conversation
and-"
in all these questions at the end of the day has to go above the fact that it's just about giving birth.
Right. Correct.
It's about bringing a life into this world and raising the child. So more importantly than physically, I think both the parents need to be emotionally and mentally committed to this. So it could be an unplanned pregnancy which both of them don't want, but it is both their babies which they are not emotionally committed to or mentally committed to raising, and that's a bad thing. It could be a product of rape for whatever reason. I don't like to talk about rape so lightly, but okay, for the context of question and answer, we're doing that. But at the end of the day, just reducing someone to something, I think it's just a matter of
There's no
technicality.
it's not
that
reducing
she's
that person to.
no. I think
she's
it's a
ultimately
matter
giving
of
birth.
it's a matter
She's
of
the only one who can give birth in that case.
that is true.
No,
And
but you know what?
I'm
I
not
think what I think
reducing
what
anyone to anything. This is the function.
this is the function.
But what we have to, as abortion, on the whole general case, procreation is not the ends of sex. That is something human beings in the 21st century have to understand.
Yes.
Human beings can have sex for recreation as well, not just for procreation.
You don't
That
even
is
have to
something
have
that
sex
you-
for procreation anymore.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Technically speaking, with the
That
science
is the
available
problem
now.
that we have with Roe versus Wade and with India, is that Indians believe that as long as the legislature is framed, Indians can have sex recreationally. It's fine. But in the red states of the USA, sex is only for procreation. And that is where they're wrong. If you account procreation as a function into all of this, come on, man. Me telling you that a woman is going to give birth is not reducing women, saying that, oh, women are here to give. They're the only beings that can give birth.
I think we get the sentiment more clearly.
Yes.
now. Thank you
That's
so
all.
much for this. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm here for women's rights, man. And I completely support the fact that 900% of vasectomies have been increased after Roe versus Wade, because the men have been they have been.
Whoa.
Dude, what the hell, man?
That's a shout out.
Yeah, that's the way
To
it
all the
goes.
men.
Because ultimately,
yeah, for sure.
ultimately in every land, as good as your women are treated is basically the way your country is going to prosper. And that is the truth. If your women are suppressed and they are a certain way, apart from you having oil money or whatever kind of money, that's an exclusion. But here, if your women are aware of their own reproductive rights, that's for an advanced society, man. And that's what I'm here for. It's not for reducing women just to their womb. I think that's not what I said, and that's not correct.
There won't be no misquoting, I assure you.
It is what it is.